All right, welcome to a delicious savory quinoa salad. This comes courtesy of our good friends Nick Pinot and his beautiful fiancée Jeanne Gauvin. And this is a little bit more of an involved process than simply kind of throwing stuff in a bowl. So let's see how quickly we can make this. I'm gonna use a juicer, so this actually slows down the process even more, but you can actually use tomato juice that's already made. But I'm gonna just kind of go from scratch because I've got a juicer, why not, right? And I don't have canned tomato juice. So the quinoa has been doing its thing. It's kind of ready to go. We're gonna juice the tomatoes, put the tomato juice in with the quinoa, let it sit on low for a little bit. Then we're gonna do the sausage in the frying pan and kind of bring everything together. It's gonna be really good, okay? So if you don't have a juicer, don't worry about it. Just use a good quality box or canned tomato juice. And we'll turn this bad boy on. So this is the Omega Vert 350. It's probably my favorite juicer. It's probably the easiest to use for anybody. And just watch how simple this is. You don't even have to touch it. You just drop it in and it does its thing. So we're using fresh tomatoes here. This is obviously the gold standard for getting your fresh tomato juice. And we'll see how many tomatoes we have to use. Maybe 2, I guess. 2 should be plenty. So some other juicers, so I have a Green Star juicer as well, which looks like a sniper rifle. You actually have to press everything down and it takes a lot more effort and work. This one is a lot more just kind of let it go and do its thing, which is awesome. Now if you notice that the stuff coming out here, the tomato is still pretty moist, so you can actually kind of put that through again to extract more of the juice out of it if you want to. That's just a little juicing tip. And I'll just put these last couple bits in. And I think 2 tomatoes should be fine. All right, so while that's just finishing up, I'm gonna, excuse me, I'm gonna just chop up our carrot. So we're gonna dice up the carrot nice and small so that when it goes into the frying pan, it doesn't take all day to soften. So if you cut them into big chunks, it's going to take a lot longer to cook. So you want to cut them nice and thin so that they can soften nice and easily and nice and quickly. So I hope you've got your stopwatch. I'm going to try to make record time on this one. This is a nice little lunch or dinner recipe. It's involving, obviously a lot of great veggies and some really healthy grains like quinoa, which is non-glutinous, so it doesn't contain gluten. So it's not going to disrupt your intestinal system, which is a good thing. And we'll just keep this into the quinoa nice on low. So the recipe actually calls for adding the tomato juice in with the water when it's kind of doing its thing. I forgot to add the tomato juice in, and I thought we'd have some fun making the juice together and then putting it in. So it's just gonna kind of join into the already done quinoa. It's gonna add a little bit of flavor to it, and it's just gonna sit on low until we're ready to add it into the salad. Okay, so next we're gonna go to the pan, and I'm gonna add in, I'm gonna throw in some red onion. So I'm just gonna move that skin off. And I'm going to use about 1/4 of a red onion here. And we'll just chop that up a little bit more fine. So I hope you're enjoying the recipes so far. I'm enjoying making them for you. It's a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun putting this community cookbook together for you. Brought together some of the leading experts in the field of nutrition and health, some of the New York Times bestsellers, some really amazing people who really, walk the talk. It's pretty awesome to see what these individuals do when you get to hang out with them, like how they actually eat, and it's actually really inspiring. Okay, so let's get that going. We're going to throw in a little bit of coconut oil to lubricate the pan. We're not going to need too much, but if you're cooking, if you're baking, if you're frying, you want to use a good stable fat like coconut oil or butter. You don't want to be using olive oil or any of the liquid oils because they become much more easily damaged by the heat. So a stable saturated fat like coconut oil or butter is really the way to go. So I'm going to let the pan heat up for a little bit, and then I'm going to throw the onions and carrots into the pan. Then I'm going to chop up the sausage. So in this case, I'm actually using a mild Italian sausage. The recipe calls for a chorizo sausage. I didn't have access to a chorizo, so we're going with a mild Italian. So it doesn't really matter which one you use, right? Again, it's just all about finding what's going to work for you. Okay, so we'll just guide the onions into the pan, and we'll bring in those carrots as well. Come on over, guys. Okay, so we're gonna let the pan kind of soften those up, and as that's doing its thing, we'll cut up the sausage. So with sausages, you want to be, obviously you're not going to eat this stuff in copious amounts. Again, it's all about moderation, right? Obviously we're preaching really eating more of a plant-based diet, which is the key to having more energy and better health. But if you're going to have meats, if you're going to have sausages, just make sure it's good quality, because you don't want to be buying commercially available sausages where who knows what they're putting in there, right? Could be like pig hoofs for all we know. Hopefully not. So we're going to cut this up. Again, by cutting it up, it allows us to expose more surface area of the sausage to the frying pan, so it allows it to kind of cook and do its thing a lot quicker than if we just threw the whole sausage in the pan on the barbecue. So just give this a little toss. And you can let the carrots soften, you can keep them hard. It's really up to you. We'll have a look at the quinoa, how it's doing over here. It's looking good. Tomato juice is absorbed nicely in there to add some nice flavor. So while this is doing its thing, I'm gonna just pull up my nifty cookbook on my iPhone here, and I'm just gonna double check for what we need in the dressing, because again, I can't remember all the recipes. A lot of them are amazing. Some of them I like off the top of my head, no problem. Other ones, I need a little refresher. So this is one where I need a little bit of a refresher to make sure we've got everything we need. Okay, so for the dressing, we're gonna use some olive oil. Come on. This one's almost done. So that's about 2, maybe 3 tablespoons in there. And we'll throw in some red wine vinegar. Okay, I get about a 3-to-1 ratio, oil to vinegar. Okay, a little fresh ground pepper, some sea salts, and we'll throw in some cumin. Not too much, because the cumin is very overpowering, so you don't want to go crazy necessarily with it. And we're going to squeeze in some fresh lime juice from about 1/4 to 1/2 of a lime, and that's ready to go. So these guys are doing well. I'm going to bring the sausage into the pan, and we'll let that finish off. So again, it's kind of like a set it and forget it type of deal. This might take maybe a little more than 5 minutes, but it's all good. So in the meantime, let's have a little conversation. What's new? How's your day going? Awesome? Great. I'm gonna use a different knife because I just cut sausage, raw sausage. I'm gonna cut the avocado open here. We're gonna use half an avocado to add to the salad. So this is again, it's a very complete salad. It contains quinoa, which has no gluten. Gluten is a very problematic protein for a lot of people. It attacks the intestinal lining, leading to all sorts of digestive disorders down the road, not overnight. Potential increases for autoimmune disease and all sorts of other stuff we don't want. So quinoa does not contain gluten, very high source of protein, 20% protein content, really awesome, as well as very high in other nutrients. So we have that. We've got the avocado, and we've got this beautiful medley of kind of carrots and sausage, and so it's a very complete recipe, and we're going to throw it all in together, and it's going to taste really, really good. So I'll actually just throw the avocado in here while we're waiting for that stuff to get done. So this avocado is a little bit tough. but we'll still manage to eat it. No problem there. Okay. Okay, so we'll just allow the avocado to simmer here in this nice vinaigrette. And now it's just a waiting game. So that's pretty much it. Okay, so now we're just gonna wait for the sausage and carrots and onions to finish their job here. I'll actually bring over some of the quinoa while we're waiting. I'm gonna use about half of this, not all of it. Just let it kind of soak up some of that beautiful dressing. And again, quinoa is such a nice grain because you can make a huge batch of quinoa salad and you can keep it in the fridge for a week in a big kind of Tupperware Rubbermaid container, glass container ideally. And it just, it's really nice to kind of add in different vegetables like this, or you can make a salad where you have like chopped up celery, peppers, and so forth, and just kind of throw it all in together. It's a really, really nice combination. Just double checking that we're not missing anything. I think we're good to go. Okay, so we are all ready. Sausage is nicely cooked. Onions have softened, and so have the carrots. And we're just gonna throw it all into the bowl together. One big happy family of awesomeness. And now, it's a really simple job of stirring it all up. And we have got our savory quinoa salad. Again, this is an epic meal for sure. Protein, healthy fats, healthy carbs, lovely stuff. Thank you, Nick and Jen, this is delicious. I'm gonna let it sit for a second so it cools down, and then I'm gonna enjoy this to the fullest. There we go, our savory quinoa salad.